James Clear says that the process of building any habit can be broken down into 4 steps, which I'm sure he won't mind me writing on his face. Cue, craving, response, and reward. This is the backbone to every habit. Once we know this, we can manipulate our environment in order to either build good habits or break bad ones. So if you want to create a good habit, you need to make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. If you want to break a bad habit, you need to make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. This is the foundation of the book. Learning how to control your circumstances, to build good habits, and remove bad ones. And this sets us up nicely for lesson number 1, which is the most basic. Then we'll build up to number 5, which is the most advanced. Focus on systems, not goals. Everybody tends to write down goals these days. That's what's suggested on many self-improvement focused YouTube videos. We think that by creating goals and putting them down on paper, we'll subconsciously shift our behaviour towards these goals and find success somewhere down the line. There are a number of problems with this. Firstly, people tend to have the same goals. For example, in a race, everybody wants to win. More generally, most people starting out in their careers or in business would agree that they'd like to be rich. But not everybody achieves these goals. Not everybody wins. So what separates the winners from the losers? People who achieve these goals from those who don't. Behaviour. And how a behaviour is built. Through the compounding of small habits. Goals might seem important, but without putting the necessary systems in place and building the necessary habits, what makes you think they're actually achievable? Another problem is that goals tend to be generic and not based on data. For example, I want to have a net worth of $100,000 by next year. Okay, but have you considered what your current income level is? What your saving and investing rate is? What rate of return your investments need and are likely to get? Or how much extra income you'd need in order to make this goal a reality? After evaluating these things, you might find that it is possible to reach a net worth of $80,000 next year, if you live well below your means and build one extra source of income in your spare time. Not only will this information encourage good habits, but the fact that it's actually achievable will motivate you to stay on the right path as you start seeing progress, rather than giving up when you realize it's impossible to reach $100,000. When I was planning this video, a company named Blinkist reached out to me and offered me a subscription to their premium service, which breaks down thousands of popular books into audio format, into sections which they call blinks. When I'm learning something new, I like to go over things a few times to fully understand the topic, but I'm a slow reader, so this seemed like a no-brainer for me. But more on that after lesson number 2, the plateau of latent potential. This sounds quite complex, but it's actually just a name used to describe the lag between putting in effort and receiving reward. It shows how people want and expect instant gratification, so much so that they give up putting in the effort when they don't see the results as soon as they expected. People expect progress to come in a linear fashion, and are disheartened when this isn't the case. If you want to start your own business, or begin building your own investment portfolio, you probably aren't going to get very good returns for the first year or two. And this is enough to put most people off. But if you can follow through, and do what most people aren't willing to do, you get to reap the rewards in the form of exponential growth, where your consistent daily efforts have compounded over time, leading to huge results further down the line. If you improve by just 1% every day, then after a year you'll have improved by roughly 37 times. That's a 3,600% gain. Ask any investor what they'd give to get that sort of return. Many people set the goal of reading more books, especially self-help books. But as you now know, setting goals doesn't really count for much. You need systems in place to build good habits. Blinkist has managed to make this easy and accessible. By breaking down over 5,500 non-fiction titles into sections or blinks for you to listen to at any time, in just 15 minutes. Let's view this in terms of habit building. Think of the excuses you have for not reading more books. You need to carry them round. You can't read while doing other things. Books can be expensive. You're a slow reader. If you can resolve these issues, then the habit becomes easier and more attractive. My thoughts are that it's a fantastic way to experiment with books and make them part of your life. Rather than Blinkist being a replacement for reading books, it can very quickly show you whether a certain book will be valuable to you. So you don't have to waste time and money actually buying and reading hundreds of different books. It can also help remove your major excuses and easily turn you from a non-reader into a reader. They also have a new feature called Blinkist Connect. This essentially allows you to invite a friend to share your premium plan on a separate account, so you could split the cost and both enjoy whichever titles you want whenever you like. On top of that, they're offering you 25% discount on Blinkist Premium with a 7-day free trial. It's time to move on to lesson number 3, so thanks Blinkist for sponsoring the video. Lesson number 3 is the Goldilocks rule. This states that maximum motivation occurs when facing a challenge of just manageable difficulty. You can think of this as the midpoint between boredom and anxiety. The theory is that in order for a habit or good behaviour to stick in the long term, it needs to be difficult enough to prevent boredom, and not so difficult that you feel overwhelmed and demotivated. If your saving and investing goals are too easy, for example, if you decide to save $100 per month despite earning a good salary, this is going to be too easy. It might be so easy, in fact, that you reach a point where you no longer see the value in continuing, and you start spending the $100 on other things instead. Likewise, if you decide you want to save and invest $3,000 per month, this might be so far out of reach that you lose motivation and give up altogether. Rather than simply adjusting to a more realistic amount, you need progressive overload, continuous improvement. Start with a figure which seems manageable but not easy. Then incorporate new elements and goals as things progress to prevent boredom. If you're reaching your target savings rate, try increasing it by 10% and aiming to build a second source of income. Aim to turn a hobby into a business. Find a side hustle you could use to get the most out of your spare time. Try new methods of finding clients. Aim to get your monthly expenses below a certain level and increase business profitability. All these things are challenging but achievable and will compound your finances over the long term. Adapt your goals and systems as you see progress. Ensure that you're maintaining the right difficulty level to keep you motivated. Lesson number 4. Find a game where the odds are stacked in your favour. This concept is built on the fact that certain people find certain tasks much easier than others. What seems easy to you could seem impossible to someone else. People have different natural abilities, whether that's because of physical attributes or even just because you find something interesting which others find boring. The point is there is something you can do well which most other people can't. Lots of people will actually value these skills even if it comes naturally or seems easy to you. You could even get paid to teach others your skills. If you can find that thing, you can cash in on it. James Clear puts it this way: if you're losing, explore. If you're winning, exploit. So, if you're stuck in a job you find dull, don't be afraid to explore new roles and opportunities. There will be something out there which you do find interesting and are good at, and which pays just as well as your old job. If you're starting out in business and you fail at first, that's fine. Maybe this wasn't one of the things you're naturally great at. Keep exploring till you find your game, and then exploit it. Lesson number 5. The secret to self-control. During the Vietnam War, there was a huge issue with drug addiction. Around 20% of serving US soldiers had some level of heroin dependence or addiction. In the first year after the soldiers returned home to the States, only 1% of them became re-addicted to heroin, the most highly addictive drug we know of. Now, this goes against almost everything most people know about addiction. Why were so many people able to avoid it? Because they changed their environment. Just like any other habit, making it invisible and difficult will be highly effective in breaking addiction. If heroin wasn't an easily accessible or useful part of their lives beforehand, then why would it be different after coming home? If you find yourself falling behind where you want to be, try changing your environment. Stop surrounding yourself with people who just want to go out drinking and partying. People who waste money, work dead-end jobs, and who have no interest in self-improvement. You've heard that you become the average of the people you spend the most time with. So if you don't like where your life is headed, you may need to change these people. You can use the same concept to remove bad habits too. If you're sick of wasting money on Starbucks on your walk home every day, change your environment by taking a different route home. It could take an extra 5 minutes, but you'd save an extra $5. That's equivalent to an hourly rate of $60 per hour, just for walking home. So how do you make this satisfying in order to ensure it sticks? Set the $5 aside each time you make this decision. Then at the end of the month, invest half of it and treat yourself with the other half. Do you want to know one habit which is quick, free, easy to do, and could benefit you greatly in the long term? Subscribing to this YouTube channel, where we post free, weekly personal finance content to help you get ahead on your path to freedom. Thanks for watching,